Welcome back to Retro Wednesday at the Tidarium Hangar. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about something other than G.I. Joe. For 14 weeks, I have been covering the entire vintage G.I. Joe line, and it's time to do something a little bit different. And so what I'm going to be doing is talking about projects that I have done. I'm going to try to put some stuff into this that I'm going to put into my collection update. But before I get my collection update done, I've got about a dozen projects that still need to be accomplished. And I'm showing you some of those that are either in the works or almost done, and I'm pleased with. You're going to see more of that in the collection update video. I'm going to break that video up into 3 videos so I can do a little bit more with each one, spend a little bit more time in each room. So each of the 3 collecting rooms will be covered, and I'll take a little more time than I usually do because a lot of people feel like I move too fast to go through the collection, and I think that's a good point. Plus, I'm going to play with a couple of editing ideas that I've stole from other people. Yes, I stole it from other people, and I'll see if it works in my video. But let's take a look at these projects that I kind of had on the back burner while working on G.I. Joe for the last few months. We'll talk about this and more on Retro Wednesday. Coming up. All right, we're going to start with this here. It's going to be sort of shaky cam, but this is my display way up top here, about 10 foot up, next to the 5 Death Stars, not all 9. And this is Robin Hood, Sherwood Forest, and yeah, I did leave an AT-AT up there, but this was kind of my grand design. And the whole point is that you have the indoor. So it's pretty much the same thing over here as it is over there, except this has some Star Wars figures, some Ewoks, and some stuff like that going on up here. And then kind of share space. This is where Unicron lies. But one thing I wanted to do was get some extra ones of these green tree toppers for indoor. Now, they're not supposed to stay on there, but I made it happen. I did what I could do. Also, you're going to see right here that I have some boxes that step it up so that the play set's higher than the wagon. And so that's something I always wanted to do, to display both the play set and the wagon together, and some figures and stuff. And I got pretty much every figure complete over here for Robin Hood. So that works pretty good too. So I kind of like that. This has been a project in the works for about 2 years. And I guess the only thing that really changed is that I said, today is the day I'm going to do it. And I did it. And that's kind of how everything goes. When you're collecting and you decide that one day you're going to do something, and today's that day that you're going to make it happen. And that's the difference between having an idea and bringing it to reality, is just making that project happen. Now, I probably will put some pictures, maybe some grass or something to cover the boxes. It's not as noticeable on the Sherwood one. So those are covered up a lot better. And when I used the boxes and I did the Sherwood one, I was like, oh, that works. But because I don't have as many figures and as much going on with Star Wars, then it needs something. But anyway, that's one of my projects. All right, so what's going on with this shelf is the fact that I moved my 80s Commanders over.
Whatever the challenge, they are ready. The Centurions.
So the whole point of this is that there's going to be more figures coming, and we've got antagonist Cyborg coming, hopefully a Rex, but this is plenty of space to put an antagonist Cyborg or a Doc Terror and a Rex. And with that, it didn't need the whole shelf. I really had huge plans for this line, but it is kind of moving slow. We're getting a figure every year and a half, which is fine because there's not that many characters. But with that, I decided to move my Tigersharks over. So moving over the Tigersharks, and I set them up. And a couple of things that I've done is that I put in a background where it says Tigersharks, and maybe if I can eliminate the glare a bit somehow. Let's see, can I eliminate that glare? Well, anyway, it says Tigersharks in there, and then this is the Tigershark symbol, and then I cut up the symbol, and I spread it through the display. So it's kind of something fun. I moved it out of Thundercats. Thundercats is actually going to be taken over probably by Street Fighter, so we'll see that here in just a bit. But looking at this, this is one of the big changes I've made most recently. And I do like the fact that since there's two different heads, they have that flip change gimmick you see with Power Rangers. Kind of do the same thing, more or less. And Animorphs do that too. So, but having two figures so you can see one of each head is a long-term goal. It's probably a goal of insanity, and I don't have all of the accessories. So my excuse is if I find a figure with an accessory I'm missing, that's an excuse to pick it up so that I can have both heads, because, you know, got to get the heads in there. Anyway, let's see where they came from. They were up here on this shelf, which just recently I got the next wave of Street Fighter. Makes me realize that I need more space for Street Fighter. And all this will go in Cat's Lair when we get the Cat's Lair, so that'll work. Now, there's other things I'm thinking about, like should I move Silverhawks up one or just leave Silverhawks down here alone? So these are all projects I'm working on right now and kind of make these decisions and thinking about what's going on and how I'm going to make all this stuff display. But I mean, this is what collectors do. As your collection grows and changes, you change with it. But hopefully I have everything figured out by the time I do my next collection video update.
They are ready. The Centurions.
Moving it in line with my Centurions, I guess. This is my update to my Centurions display. And I did something that was a little bit different. It's not a huge change, it's a small change. I used to have my traumatizers over here, and then I moved them out of the way over to here so that you can have the troops on one side, the big bosses in the middle, and then the rest of the troops on the other side. And to me, that looks good. And like when you're pretty much complete with your collection, like there's really nothing else I need for Centurions when it comes to vintage and what was already made. But it is kind of fun to have the weapon systems and figures in it and all that kind of stuff. It's the same going on down here. Not much different that's happened down here. I will show a few things though. I'm not 100% certain I showed these bootlegs off in the past, but I did have these bootlegs. I don't have the helmets, and I don't know if they ever came with accessories, but I know their accessories did not match anything that was going on out there. I don't have all of the erasers, and I don't have all the watches, but there's this other one that I think is really cool that we're going to go shaky cam on, and that's this right here. These guys are real small. And I put a mask figure over here, and I've got Glinda from G.I. Joe to show the size of them. They're like, they come with binoculars and flashlight connected to them, but I just wanted to have one of each. Hopefully I can track down some accessories that would fit them all, so you can have a little, tiny little display of tiny little Centurions in the Centurions collection. Also, gotta look down here at the Anson stuff, and he's got more things coming out for his creations, which is awesome. Love everything he's worked on so far, and I think we just talked about that one yesterday.
Most powerful soldiers are Earth's last chance to fight the Spiral Zone.
Been working on Spiral Zone. This is Bandai. Now Bandai Spiral Zone is different. The figures are smaller. This one right here kind of shows how much smaller they look than the rest of them, and they're not the same. There's really nothing compatible from Tonka to Bandai, and the Bandai stuff is really expensive. It's very hard to come by, but I picked up a few figures. I've got a small collection of it. Eventually I'll have enough that I want to do the full collection review. Even if I'm missing something in a full collection review, if I've got enough, it would feel okay to do that. But it's kind of fun. I just kind of put them right in the front of my display, and I don't have the mono seed, which is basically the Bandai version of the bike, so I don't have that yet. It would be nice to have a mono seed, and I don't have. There's a couple of the suits and figures I'm missing. I still don't even know what all it takes to complete the line, but I will say this: the Bandai stuff, it was smart for Tonka to not import it exactly 1-to-1 to make it more toy-etic, kid-friendly, and to make the figures more durable. These are like model kits. Now, there's a lot of cool stuff they do, but they're like model kits, and they were definitely not toys for kids back in the 80s. Here's my Mesk collection. So it's Mesk is kind of like bootleg versions of Mask, kind of like we saw over there with the Centurions, and it's kind of cool. So I think I've got them all now. I don't know if you say they're complete. A figure and a helmet is all I think that you need to be complete. Any accessories they came with were just kind of silly. So that's kind of something I've been working on. That, and of course, the display of the figures. I never really displayed the figures. I put them all in their vehicles, but with all of the weapon systems that we have, the adventure packs and stuff, I finally got all that displayed the way I like to display this stuff. So that works out. Plus, this is a different collider mask that was kind of a variant. So a couple of variants in here and stuff. So kind of fun collecting bootlegs and collecting some variants. So I really love my Bionic 6 collection.
Bionic 6. We're all together. We fight for right.
Project I've been working on lately, a couple of twofold. First off, I kind of pulled this shelf out more to have the playset more set up the way it should be. But my thing is, let me see if I can even get it a better angle. The bikes. So I got all 6 bikes and figures on each one. Now, people get all mad, like, why do you have more than one figure? Well, because I want a figure on each bike. That's just the way I look at it. So I want to display this display right here. Now, they're not all complete, and they still need some work. Some stuff's damaged, but these are the best I've gotten 6 in a row in a long time. Well, ever in my life. So that was some work. But there's also on the other side of the display, we have the quads. Now, I've had the quads done for a long time, and I've kind of shown that in other videos, but yeah, the quads were a bit of a challenge. But the biggest challenge, I think the cycles are harder than the quads to get complete. And on one figure each in the quads. That's kind of why I need my Bionic 60, so I can make more displays. And I've got a few more ideas for Bionic 6 displays in the future, but we got some donor bikes over there. Anyway, I'm really, really pleased with how this came out. And if I find the last few parts I need, I'd be ecstatic, but at this point, I kind of look at it as project completed.
I've just been saved by a bunch of giant gerbils?
Mice, ma'am. We're mice.
Mice?
You were expecting turtles, maybe?
This might look like a lot of clutter, but I'm working on biker mice. These are Astro Bros right here. This one, and this one. That one is 4x. There's just some ones that were never released in the US. They're hard to get. And then I've got a few other things going on, but this cycle over here, these cycles, they have wings, jetpack wings that go on them. And I got to work on a few more things with the display. But biker mice is something that I think is a lot of fun. It's something that it's just hard to get the late run stuff, mostly because most of it wasn't in the US. But I did complete my Knights. I think I was missing a piece or two, and that's a lot of glare from the Biker Mice Knights. But I think TMNT Turtles did it too, but Biker Mice did it better. And a lot of things Biker Mice does or did, I like better than how Turtles did it. Nothing against the Turtles. And yeah, I'm turtled out. I'm almost Biker Miced out too, to tell you the truth. But I'm looking forward to some modern takes on all of this. Would love to see Nacelle vac metalized stuff and do a few other things with it. But anyhow, I'll do a whole collection video update. You know, all the other things that have changed in this collection also when I get to that. And just real quick, I'm still putting finishing touches on G.I. Joe. After having this all out to do videos on, it is a challenge to put everything back the way I had it. And I don't just want to put it back the way I had it. I want to make it a little better than how I had it before I did the videos. And I think that's the way we should all kind of look at things. You know, you want to make things better and improve it. And a lot of people say, well, that's a lot of clutter, Mike. Well, it was a different type of display before I decided I was going to try to complete a full run of figures. But, you know, Tiger Force is still Tiger Force. But I had the figures integrated in displays instead of just lined up, because there's just so many if you want to make sure you have one of everything. And that's how you do the things. But with Street Fighter and all that kind of fun stuff. So it's going to be a while finishing touches. I might, you know, go after the parts I'm missing. I might not. I don't know, because it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. When I do my collection video, and that's going to be like January, I'm going to tell people what I really feel like G.I. Joe costs. So that's going to be its own video. But my collection video, I'll tell everybody what I think I got in my collection. And, that's one thing is like how much do you have tied up in your collection, or what's it worth? I mean, maybe I didn't spend that much, but what's the value of it? And then I'll also, I guess, throw out how much of it I've sold. And so with that, as much as I've got, I mean, you have to sell stuff off periodically to help fund all of this craziness, So I'll be going over this in my collection video, and having a lot more time to go deep into each display and each piece and talk about all that. Anyway, that's what I got going on with Joe. Still putting finishing touches on it. Still got a lot more work to do to this before I can say I'm completely done, completely satisfied with how I display this. I mean, I've even picked up a vehicle. And then I told myself no more vehicles. But I got a vehicle. So I hope you enjoyed me sharing my projects I've worked on the past week. That's just this past week. I've kind of worked on those things. And upcoming, when I do the whole collection review, you'll see everything I've worked on for the last 2 years. I think it's been 2 years since I've done a collection update, and a lot has changed. A lot. So I might take screen grabs from my first video if things are drastically different. I'm just toying around with some ideas, and I'm going to test them all in this video. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe. Tiger Hanger out.